Welcome to today's episode of the Group X podcast. I'm your host, Tony Zanato. And if you haven't yet done so, hit that follow button so you never miss another episode. Today, I'll be talking to Johnny Pawliw, trainer and presenter for Les Mills Asia Pacific. We discuss why we do what we do, loving it so much that it doesn't feel like work, change, how we make the change and accepting the change when it's made, and training for your programs, making sure your program fit. So grab your favourite beverage, sit back and enjoy the show. Johnny, thank you so much, mate, for joining me on the show, man. I do appreciate your time and taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and join me.
No worries, man. Thanks for having me. I'm pretty excited to be involved in this.
Awesome. So let's start right from the beginning. Where and how did your fitness journey kick off? Where did it all begin for you?
Oh, mate. Look, I'm talking, I know it's very hard to tell. I'm quite youthful, but I have been in the industry for almost 20 years. It started just as a young teenager, dabbling in a little bit of weights here and there. And then I actually received this really major injury to my arm, and I actually cut my median nerve, which meant that I lost a complete feeling and function of my left hand.
Wow.
And through the rehab process of that, I actually decided that I wanted to step into the personal training space. So I went and got myself all qualified up, and then I was young, and PT can be quite a daunting experience and quite overbearing at times, as we both know. And so I sort of floated into the group fitness space, and then from there, I got picked to do this half-price body pump voucher from my group fitness manager at the time, and off I went. Everything else is history.
Tell me, when you first started, how young were you? What was your how old? I'm not going to say how young were you, not say how old. That's wrong. How young were you?
So I started taking interest in health and fitness when I was in high school, around 16.
Yep.
But then when I actually entered the business or into the industry, I was just shy of just turning 18. So it was probably about like 18 and a month.
Yep.
So that's how it got me into the industry.
Okay. And so you did a bit of dabble in PT as well, but group fitness was more where you would say your passion jumped out at you and sort of went, hey, there's more in that than there is over there. Would that be right?
Yeah, it's totally my jam. So even through my personal training qualification, we actually had to do part of my Cert 3 and Cert 4 was create a group fitness routine. So we had to do like a 4x8 for 32 counts of music and get tested on it.
Yep.
And that was probably the part that really just like energized me through the whole training with this group fitness component.
Awesome.
And then when I got into PT, we were in this old school gym. Like I'm talking a gym that had 3 walls, and the 4th wall was separated from the 3, so water would come in. So the group fitness would run, and I'd be upstairs PTing with all this rust because the weather would get in. I just would find myself captivated by these wonderful women and men doing like freestyle aerobics and body pump and body attack, and I just always seemed drawn to that process. And so when I got the little bit of streams to go into it, I just never looked back.
Brilliant. I've got to say here, I do remember doing the Group X component of Cert 3, and now I had been in some classes before, but I'd never taught or done anything like that. And I was going through the whole process of PT, learning all that, as well as I knew that I wanted to get into the Group X space. Now, Freestyle Group X and myself, yeah. Now, Amanda Breen helped me through that process because she was an instructor that was teaching at that time. And so I was like, Amanda, North Sydney, Saturday afternoon, you need to help me. I've got to come up with a routine that's going to go for like a minute and a half or whatever. And please, let's just do whatever you can. Yeah, it's going to be a crash, but let's just do whatever you can. And the grapevine and the marches forward and the arms and all that kind of stuff. And I tell you, I've got 2 left feet, and they always want to go right. And it was I got through it, but my goodness, that was an interesting experience.
Yeah. Man, I tell you, half the people who literally did my exam for that group fitness component all did a step touch to a double step touch to a grapevine. So I think we all just did the same choreography, L-shaped grapevine. Now that you're off, off you go.
There was one guy that I did it with, David, one of my mates, and because he was a judo instructor, so he got up and he taught a judo routine, which was it was awesome because it was so different, but did it to music and the whole thing. And obviously, we both passed it. It was
Wow.
brilliant, but it was just so different to see because I was just used to seeing the grapevine and the good old march forward, march back, all that kind of good
Hmm.
stuff. And when he got up, because he hadn't told me or told anyone what he was doing, got up and just led us through this. It was amazing, so different and so
That's
unique. So
cool.
it was an interesting experience to kick it off and start the industry, or start my journey in the industry as well.
100%, man.
So
I
yeah.
think that would have definitely given me a bit of a spark to have so much different stuff that's available to us in the fitness industry,
Yes.
particularly in group fitness. Say,
Yeah, in that space because you back then it was just thinking of what, yeah, okay, it's high low or I can't even remember what the other wings were called back then, but yeah,
oh
I think it was Les
man,
Mills.
mine was.
Les Mills had been around, but it wasn't as prominent as I suppose it is today. Back then, there was still a hell of a lot more freestyle than what there is now.
That's it, man. I mean, my humble beginning started with aerobics Oz style at
Yeah.
in breakfast TV. So
Yes.
legit,
Yeah.
that's all I knew was literally booty thrust, step ups,
Yeah.
and L's straight grapevines, man.
Yes. Yes. Remember those days well.
Because we were so youthful, like
Of
we're okay,
course,
we
of
get
course, it's course. Yes, you can see that there is. Oh, hang on, that's not a receding hairline. That's bald. Anyway,
it.
hey, what was the first group fitness class you ever taught?
My first I ever taught was body pumps. That's my first proper official training in Les Mills, and that was my
Okay.
first group fitness class that I ever taught was body pump.
Whereabouts was that? Where did you teach it?
Oh man, okay. So I was born and raised in Canberra for a couple of years. Then we moved around because of the rap, and we settled in Ipswich.
Okay.
And this cute little suburb called Ebervale had this three-walled gym, and it was just inside Ipswich that I taught this first body pump class in this little gym,
And
just health clubs.
do you remember it? Your first class?
Oh mate, I can tell you. So let me be real. So I did my training, and back then it was like you did 2 days worth of training, and you came back for the third day later. And it took me 6 months to even get involved in it because I was so nervous because I didn't want to do anything bad. I was all about
Yep.
being a perfectionist.
Yep.
And then from there, to even teach the warm up, we were backed onto this massive highway that always would get lots of traffic jams. So my mentor at the time faked just being in a traffic jam, and she was like, "I can't make the class. You're going to have to teach the warm up." And I'm like, "I can't. I don't want to teach the warm up. I'm never going to. It's not what I want to do." So she faked it. So then I had to do the warm up, and she just strolls in like 30 seconds into the warm up, and then just watches me teach the warm up.
Brilliant. Brilliant. That's throwing you in the deep end, and yeah, you're either going to sink or swim. And mate, well done.
Oh,
That's
thanks, man.
awesome.
But I definitely remember it, and
Yep.
I was a cute little pudgy 18-year-old getting up there doing my warm up. It was good.
Mate, you did it. Well done. Well done, I say.
This is the Group X podcast.
Where to from there? How did you, what happened after you taught your first class? Where were you going on your journey? What were you thinking you wanted to do? Where did you end up?
Okay, so when I taught my first body pump class and got myself certified, it's when I really decided that PT wasn't what I was doing. So at that stage, I was just hired as a floor coach, like a floor instructor. So I just went around and cleaned, and they don't exist anymore, but they were back then in the day. And so to get myself more immersed into group fitness, I actually left that role and became a receptionist just at the club. So I had more free time to do that.
Yep.
And then in that process, they actually were relocating our gym to a much better location, and they were offering cycle programs. So then from my next program, I slipped into RPM. And then I was teaching pump and RPM and getting really involved in those sort of programs. And then I was from a receptionist to a membership consultant, and being a 20-year-old membership consultant and having a bit of extra cash, you're like, I'm just going to train in everything.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
it was body combat, body jam, body step, and we kind of just went that way a bit down the process. Yeah.
I want to take you back to pump for a second in your training. Now, your initial module training.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go into it with any preconceived ideas on what you were going to be experiencing, what you were going to be doing when you went for this course? Had you heard anything?
Yeah. So my group fitness manager at the time, Yvonne Thomas, such a legend, such an icon, definitely had prepared me into the fact that will be lots of exercise and that we'll get the content given to us. Because back in the day, then I wasn't able to see any of the choreo notes or any of the actual videos. So you actually arrived with your Discman and got your notes on the day.
Yeah.
So it's just like you're going to get allocated a couple of tracks and you're going to have to present them on the first day. And that was kind of in a nutshell, lots of exercise, and you'll be teaching the first day that you go. But the actual learning process and the actual breaking down of choreography and teaching in front of people is not what I expected. And it was very intimidating walking into that space.
Yeah, I remember that as well. I did my RPM was my first. I did it with Pete Manuel, and yeah, very very daunting. Not understanding any of that prior, and walking in and getting your back then it was a VHS. Leave that one alone. A VHS.
Man,
they just went over to CDs instead of a cassette, so it was a CD.
And I definitely had a couple of good tapes and CDs back in the day. Man, I remember setting up my little system.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like not knowing what to expect and not being super prepared is a very daunting thing. And because let's be real, like I just started the fitness industry, so I wasn't, I guess, my prime fitness.
Yep.
So that's also quite intimidating, seeing the people who I've seen at the club who were fit as fiddles.
Yep.
That's also quite a daunting process as well.
Yeah. I think the for me it was more learning how to read choreo and learning how to have music and choreo going on in my brain at the same time. And then that was that bit, but then I had to stand up and I had to actually do it in front of people. That was the thing that I was, you know what, you did it, you learned how to do it, and I'm so grateful for the experience. But my God, from not doing it to then starting to do it, I think a lot of people listening will probably understand that that's daunting as hell. Yeah, it's walking away, but walking into that module training, sort of going, okay, I've never done this before, I'm not sure what I'm going to experience here, but having that trainer that's in front of you that holds your hand virtually the whole way through and goes, you know what, you got this. Yeah, I'm not letting you walk away from here worse than when you walked in. That's for bloody sure. We're going to be doing this, and you're going to be nailing this and going, yeah, cool. Or you're going to be doing the best you possibly can, and knowing the things you've got to work on in order to move forward with it. So I think that's I look at our industry and I look at that training process and go, you know what, yeah, it's so worthy of what we went through and still is. You know, when a new person comes along, it's like, you know what, guys, don't be afraid. Get in. Just get in and smash it and give it a good shot.
Yeah, man. And also thinking back as well, I wasn't the most, well, I wouldn't say I wasn't the best at doing like presentations to people.
Yep.
So, obviously being new to fitness and that being quite a daunting experience, and then realizing actually I'm about to learn how to become a public speaker for the first time ever in my life with no skill set.
Yep.
Was definitely a big thing to deal with as well.
How did you first? Can you remember your first track that you did at your presentation on that weekend? Do you remember how it went?
Yeah, man. I had lunges.
Yep.
So it was definitely a harder track than I expected. I think if I can remember correctly, it was all just about getting the basic information out. I was just trying to get cues out.
Yep.
I definitely think there was like no pre-cueing. I think it was just like, here's the change, here's the change, here's the change.
Yep.
But I definitely remember before saying what I wanted to say when I get up for my first presentations, I just wrote everything out and had this word for word script backwards and forth, and then none of that ever came out.
Yep.
I just remember none of that came out, and I just got like a little bit of choreo, a little bit of coaching, and I think it was like abs, brace, chest up.
Yep.
Go to the chair.
Excellent. What release was it?
Let's say it was Body Pump 49.
Okay. Yep. I think
so, Evergreen was the warm up.
I think I was on 47 from memory. I can't remember now, but yeah, it was Pump 47. That's wow, that takes me back. That's 20 years ago, isn't it? That's easily 20, almost 20 years.
Easy, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
wow.
I remember getting involved in Body Pump 100, going, oh my god, I can't believe it's at Body Pump 100.
Yeah. Wow. I suppose the good thing is, that those programs are trialed and tested, and they're successful. Yeah. They work.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the thing. They work for everyone. Everyone, they're attainable for everyone. Everyone can get in there and give it a crack. And I think that's testament to the brand, testament to trainers and presenters, and also instructors that are out there doing it. Is, you know what, guys, we're doing a bloody good job, and we have done for many, many years. And I'm sure we're going to be doing it for many, many years to come. Well, maybe not us,
sure.
But the next generation of people coming through. Yeah.
I don't think I can be a 50-year-old shabama, but I'll give it a crack. I think basically what I'm saying is like it's really great to break down those barriers to get people back into classes really easily. I mean, like if I'm a brand new person to the gym, like I'm having my hand held with someone in front of me who's been doing this for a while, who's been trained well to do this. There's no guesswork. It's come train with us, just get moving, and then we
Yeah.
can progress from there.
Yeah, totally. So what other programs are you trained in? You've done pump, you've done RPM.
Yep.
What else have you got? What's under your what's your repertoire?
Okay, so let me try and remember them all. So pump and RPM were my first two, and
Yep.
then it was combat and jam.
Yep.
And then it was body step.
Yep.
Then we took a break for a little bit because we realized that's a lot.
Yep.
And then
that's a lot of choreography in 5 programs.
That's a lot of choreography.
Yep.
Then they launched CX Works, which is now obviously core, and so that really intimidated. That really not intimidated. It spiced me up. I want to be involved in that.
Yep.
Then we floated into Grit because
Yep.
that was more where my training alignment was heading.
Yeah.
And obviously Shabam was one of those new launches as well with core.
Yep.
And then we finish off with Sprint. So that's where I finished.
9 in total.
Oh, no, I lied. No, I have body balance too. 10.
10. You've rounded it off and gone, yeah, cool. If I'm going to do it, I might as well just do 10. Yeah, let's go for it. Jesus. Mate,
I'm all about the even numbers.
I probably would have stopped at 5 and gone, you know what, that's enough choreography. This brain can't deal with too much more. That's, wow. 10 programs, man. Well, you've got a very wide, diverse range of style within that as well. From the grit and the pump across through the cardio stuff into the dance stuff. You've got it all, and you've got core. Mate, that's.
I try, man.
You've got. Did you say balance in there as well?
Places.
Did you say balance?
Yeah, man, balance. Yeah, balance is in there. She's in there. We did it for a while. It was great.
Wow. Do you remember when Core or CX Works was actually CX30?
I did. I remember when it was launched because Shabam and Core were obviously released together, even though Shabam was one release earlier.
Yeah.
And so I remember them just going, CX30, it's going to be incredible, CX30. I'm like, what about Shabam? But anyway, CX30, so I definitely remember. But I remember going, what is CX30? Like, what is this program? Am I training for 30 minutes? Am I finding 30 body parts? Like, what am I doing? So, yes, I do remember it.
Yeah. It was, I think it was CX3 that I did training on. I think CX3 or CX4. A challenge.
Yep.
My goodness, a challenge. It was,
Yeah.
It's a style of training that I'd really never done before. I mean, yes, okay, you lifted heavy stuff, you threw it around, you did all that kind of stuff. There's a bit of functional stuff, but this was 30 minutes on my midsection that, hello.
But let's be real, like my only core training was like maybe the end of that ab track and body pump or an ab track and body combat.
Yes.
RPM didn't have it, body jam didn't have it. Like when this all came out, I was doing 5 minutes of core, not like 30 minutes of squats and booty lifts and reverse lunges. And it was a killer, man.
Yeah. But fun at the same time. That's the thing that I remember. It was the music they were using. I don't know what it's like now. I'm saying the music back then when I did my training and taught for a little bit was really interesting because it was the mid 2000s and it was some really interesting funky music that was being used. I think Adele was in the track that I did from memory.
I wouldn't be surprised, man. I think they pulled a whole bunch of body jam as well, which is cool for those really big like backtracks and things. So I was living my fantasy because it was like taking jam music and putting it into like strength training. So I was like, right.
This is the Group X podcast.
So tell us how did the opportunity come up for you to be a trainer presenter? How did that present itself?
Come about?
Yeah.
Look, it's really weird. Back in the day, it was a whole different process to what it currently is now. But basically, I was so into Body Jam because the Body Jam was the first program I became a presenter in. That was the first one I started in.
Yep.
So when I trained in it and started teaching it, I realized that that's literally where my passion lies, is in this dance space.
Yep.
So I would just troll around Brisbane to all the jam classes that I could get to and obviously try and learn from the best. So at that time, Sharon Susie was teaching and there was Gail Brimble and all those people back in the day. And so I would just chase those classes to try and be the best that I could. And then just sporadically, because I was around, a person who was supposed to be taking the workshop in Brisbane actually pulled out of the workshop. And at that stage, they could kind of pull people from different places and classes and places in Brisbane.
Yeah.
And they just asked if I wanted to be a shadower because they've obviously seen the progression that I had from initial model training to now.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, okay.
Awesome.
And up we went.
Right time, right place. Well done,
Yeah.
and obviously right skill set as well. Let's not forget about that. But that's awesome. That's cool. How did that
No,
go?
definitely. Yeah.
How did that go?
Oh,
How was that
look,
experience?
well, like I was dancing with people like Leanne Bowman and Amanda and Sharon, and it was, oh mate, I tell you, it was an experience.
Yep.
I also had to get the right outfit because body jam we all had to match.
Yep.
So it was white top, baggy ass pants, and trying to be cool.
Yep.
It was definitely great because it was like the old school super workshops when we're in the sports centers and basically the big stage, big auditorium.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and it was back in the prime where we had 30 or 40 people doing body jam with us in the sports arena.
Yep.
So intimidating, super fun,
yep.
And exciting at the same time. And I was nerve struck. Like I was just so beside myself that this was happening because think about this. Like I started in body pump with some of the major people like Karen Russell
yep.
on the floor at these workshops. And all of a sudden you're given this opportunity to be part of that world it's pretty intimidating.
Yeah. Did you teach a track or were you were shadowing?
No, I definitely just shadowed that one. I definitely was just trying to dance my little heart out and be seen and be noticed. I was like, yes, I can dance.
Yeah,
I definitely just danced like a boss that particular workshop.
Awesome. I think it's the thing I used to love going to the big quarterlies. One for the energy and the atmosphere of so many people in the same room, but when you'd see new presenters up on stage, to me, I'd almost forget around what I was doing and watch them. And I know that probably sounds really fucking weird to anyone that's listening to this, but you see it on their face of the absolute nerve, but the passion and that enthusiasm that they have that eggs you on as an instructor that's on the floor and watching someone up there training and giving it their all and watching the emotion and roller coaster that they're going through, but knowing that you were there to share with them and then seeing them afterwards and they're still a bit shell-shocked, but it was almost that whole, I'm on a high. This is brilliant. Look at what I've just been able to do with you guys, for you guys, but this is just, brilliant. And I'll say that in saying that I've seen some of the workshops you've done as well as other people as well, and the enthusiasm that you guys have for whether it's dance program, whether it's pump or whatever it may be when you're up there is infectious. Yep. I'm going to say more so for me when I've seen you do combat and also jam. That's when I go, you know what? There's that guy. There he is. He's in his element. Just look at that. You just stop and go, yep. Yeah, that's part of why we're in this industry. That's just, mate.
I mean, how can you not radiate what you love, right, man? If you love what you love and you love doing what you do, it just comes out naturally, right? And
so true.
I 100% agree with you when you would see brand new presenters go up for the first time, because when I was starting off is when they were starting to pull fresher people to be involved in their teams.
Yep.
So there was a lot of people going through this process. It was really quite cool to go with the people that you hang out with and train with every day and have them support you all the way through. So it was a very cool experience, and still is today. Watching these ones come up and have fun. But it's very infectious. You see someone who's literally in their element, just living their fantasy and their dream, and it's just really cool.
Yeah. When the whole energy in that room is bouncing off you, that's when you go, you know what? Yeah, man. Yeah. And I look at it from never being a trainer or presenter myself, but being on the end of that with Les Mills and seeing that and knowing all you guys and meeting you all, but being in the room when that's going off and just watching the energy of those instructors feed off the presenters and trainers, the energy in the room. I mean, obviously I'm going to say you were, I can't remember it. So excuse me if it's embarrassing, but Dancerpalooza down in Melbourne, the first year we did the Dancerpalooza when the Filex moved to Melbourne for the first year, it was phenomenal. It was,
right.
Oh my God. The energy in that room was I can't describe it. I cannot describe it.
You can't describe it.
No,
you can't.
It's just, if you were there, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because it was like, oh my God, this is just bloody brilliant. I with Les Mills at that stage, we were up the top in that VIP sort of area and be able to overlook what was going on. And we're up there with, all the corporates and having a whole lot of fun. But when Dancerpalooza come on and we were able to see, I think there was maybe 2 people left. I think they were staff from the venue itself around drinks and food, because we all went downstairs to watch what was going on and be part of it. And it was just, magnificent. Magnificent.
Yeah, man. I mean, it definitely was like because it was a Friday night too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like on the end of the Friday night or something. Yeah.
Yep.
And so it's definitely like the event. Like I remember people who we had traveled with to go to Melbourne, obviously for Fireworks and for Dance Palooza. They're all, at their apartments with all their friends over, getting ready, posting videos and stuff while we were getting ready. And you could just see through stories and Instagram and Facebook, all these people sort of preparing to come along. And I remember my partner, and they sent me videos of them having, I'm not gonna lie, a couple of drinks before they came to Dance Palooza, because that's just how it was, right?
Yep.
And then they all just went in, and it was just like electric. And to be even better, a lot of us came off filming from that quarter as well. So I think everyone was so excited to see their local presenters, this international talent we had, and just like enjoyed the crap out of what that was.
Yeah. Jam was the first one. What was next? What happened? What was your next program?
Yes. Easy. So the natural progression for me as a presenter for Body Jam was to step into Shabam. So I sat with Body Jam just for ages, which was fantastic. It meant I could just immerse myself in what it was like to be. Actually, no, I lied. Let me be real about that. I was a presenter for a while, and then we went through a massive change of our presenting teams, and we all had lots of people who came off and came on. So I actually was removed from the presenting team. So I went traveling around the world, did my thing.
Oh, wow.
And then came back, good couple of years later. So it was like, I had like a 2-year stint where I wasn't a presenter or anywhere involved in Lesbill.
When was that?
Oh, man, you're talking my years. So it's when Gary Hart left and we had a change of management around that. It's like 2008.
Yeah.
2007, 2008.
Yeah.
And then they basically went through a massive expansion, and then they went through and just sort of did what they had to do to make sure it was all refined and so what the business needed. So a lot of us sort of left the business. And in that stage, I went and traveled around and came back, and the opportunity to apply came up again, and I reapplied, and then I missed out again. So I was like, cool, I'll go travel again. And off I went again, and then came back and reapplied again and got through those processes.
Brilliant.
So I think it was back on the team about 2010. And then Shabam came out. Yes, that's when I came on to Shabam.
Can we touch on the audition process for a sec? Yep.
Of course.
How was that audition process? Now, okay, so it's the third time lucky after having to travel and doing all that kind of stuff. Can you talk us through the audition process back then? Because I understand it's probably different to what it is now. What did you go through? What were you experiencing yourself? But also, what was the audition process like?
Yeah, easy. So when I left the team the first time to go traveling, I left for reasons in terms of my fitness and stuff wasn't where I needed to be. So going through the reapplication process the first time was very intimidating, because obviously I knew what I had to fix and what I was trying to be better at and what I was trying to deliver. So the pressure around that process was quite heavy, because I knew what I wanted to apply for. But then what we had to do is basically just pick a half of the Body Jam that we had from the most current release, and then film that on camera, and then send that via USB back in the day to the head program coach who was involved in Body Jam at that time, and they would review it, and you'd go through the next process. But what happened is basically they did like a Brisbane audition where we could all come together and do a big audition in Brisbane for the first time as well. And I got the letter that was like, hey, you've been accepted for the second round of auditions. We'll get back to you. And then I didn't get anything back. So it's kind of like, that's why I was like, okay, cool. So second time I got through the first stages of application and whatever, for whatever reason happened. So I just took life for where it was heading me and went traveling again. And the second time it was same process, send a video in, get in touch with the HBC, who then at the time was Annie, and then she was great. We just started talking, went through that, and then that's when my presenter journey started, when Annie was back on for the third time.
Where did you travel?
Oh man, I was a camp counselor in America. So
no way.
I was like, we're out. So I was Johnny Fitness at an international camp over in America.
That's cool.
So yeah, I was Johnny Fitness for like 3 months with these Comanches, who are boys who are about age 6. But being Johnny Fitness, then I was teaching fitness to the whole camp. So I had kids from from age of 5 all the way up to like age 14.
That's excellent.
So
man.
I did that.
I've only ever heard about camp stuff from watching TV, because it's not obviously something that's here in Australia. That's a real thing. That's brilliant. I've never met someone that's actually done that. That's cool. That's awesome, man.
They made anyone can do it. Literally, just apply, and then you get a visa, and then you just fly yourself over, and you work for like 4 months, and then you can travel in America and do everything. So I literally worked for the preseason, getting the camp sorted, did 3 months of camp, worked for 2 weeks afterwards, and then traveled North America and Europe, and then did that twice. So that's pretty cool.
Brilliant. What an experience. That's cool. Very
Yeah,
cool.
man.
This is the Group X podcast.
So, Buddy, you end up back on the team. You're doing all that kind of stuff. Can I ask you a question around the first initial module you trained in, as in you took the training for? Yep. How was it? Which was it? What was it?
Ooh. Okay, so obviously said my next progression was Shabam, but I also was mega passionate about body combat. So I was like living to try and get into that space. And for that whole process of before coming on as a presenter for Shabam, I was trying to work my way into becoming a presenter for body combat.
Yep.
And then after Shabam came on board, and then stuff happened through Shabam, I was able to move into body combat. So I dabbled a little bit in initial module trainings with Shabam, but we already had a seasoned trainer in Brisbane who was taking care of that.
Yep.
So my development for initial module training came from body combat. So when I finally became a presenter, I was able to move into that space for initial module training for combat.
Okay.
Now that was another whole next level of everything. So I told you about when I first taught for the first time and went to training, public speaking was quite a big thing for me. I was really nervous around it.
Yep.
This is public speaking to like the max. This is lecturing. This is like teaching people how to do things rather than just teaching them fitness.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I felt when I went into that space, I needed to memorize my manual word for word. And I'm talking when I started, there was no PowerPoint with butcher's paper, and I literally had to write things on butcher's paper.
Yep.
So there was no PowerPoints or content to sort of help you with tangent. You went on this way when you should be going that way.
Yeah.
So my first initial module training experience was my HPC at the time sitting at the back of the room watching me deliver the 5 key elements with no script and trying my best to recite every word for word that came from the 5 key element script. So now, as an adult who is now a team coaching, can do module trainings, can deliver the 5 key elements.
Who was your HPC back then? Who was the HPC for?
Sharon Susie was my HPC then.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm
definitely very
Sharon's coming on the show. I think I'm recording with her next week, but yeah, it'll be a while yet before, because I'm only doing releasing one a week, so it'll be a while yet before she's her episode's up. But yeah, I've heard from Tash, who was the first release we did just recently, that Sharon is an amazing mentor to have, but also is I think the word were strict or something like that. It was very, you know what, this is how it's got to be done. Yeah, there's no sort of like no shortcuts or anything like that. So it's I think you've had an opportunity to learn from the best of the best with regards to that.
100%, man.
Yeah,
like she definitely knew her craft so well, and I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of Tash, knowing that when you know someone who knows so well and who they are so much, they can just pass that knowledge on really well to you. And like, even though at times just the initial module training learning process is quite intense, she's definitely very nurturing and had your back no matter what. And whatever happened. And she'd always be able just to support you and float you through. So it was definitely an experience having someone who was so strong in their craft to help you become so strong in that as well.
Yeah. How did you feel when she'd finished that weekend training? How were you emotionally, mentally at the end of it?
Man, I felt like poop. Like I remember coming home on the first day, because all I had to do was the 5 key elements. And so for those who are listening, like the 5 key elements happened pretty fast on the first day. That's like one of the first things you talk about on day one.
Yeah.
And I remember all my lecture was literally 25 minutes long, and I like passed out when I went home because I just was so tired and so emotionally strung from trying to deliver these 5 key elements and getting feedback in the moment from your mentor at the time as well. That I just went home and passed out. Actually, I'm pretty sure I went home because I was young, so I'm pretty sure I went home and had a wine as well.
Yeah.
And just ate a pizza, and I had pasta, and just like I felt like I was Harry Potter, just trying to put my joy back in because I felt so drained. Come the second morning though, I was just bloated and hungover. I was probably more emotionally hungover from having the stress which shouldn't have been there. I just definitely put that on myself, trying to be perfect. But yeah, I was very drained when I got home.
It's funny you say that because everybody that I've chatted to so far have sort of said the same sort of thing. They went in there. They were. I tried to memorize everything. Tried to make sure that I hit absolutely everything, and you put that much pressure on yourselves that at the end of it, you're sort of like, if I just do this my way, I know it, but stop trying to be someone else. Be me. Be just be me and deliver it in that way. And I think most of the people that I've chatted to now have found their rhythm in that way and sort of go, you know what, I know the content, but I deliver it this way. I don't deliver it how that person did it, and I'm not meant to. I'm meant to deliver it in my way with my style, just using that content and getting that content across, because that's what's going to land with the instructors that are in front of you, but also makes you present and be confident and comfortable in yourself and how it is. So you've actually got more control over the module as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, one of the best things Sharon ever taught me was literally just know what the outcome is of the part that you're lecturing, and however you get to that outcome using the content you've got is a success.
Yeah.
So as long as the learning is achieved at the end of the outcome and you've used the content as best you can there, then you've got a green tick. That's all you wanted. So basically that's how from that one little bit of advice is how I've become the trainer that I am, is this is the outcome we require. Here's the content we've got. How we're going to get there every time is a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's right, because you've got to tailor it to who's in front of you. Yeah. You've got to, you can't cookie cutter the same thing every single time, because there's going to be people that learn differently, that learn at different paces, that are in front of you, that also get things in a different way. Not everyone's a visual learner. Yeah. Not everyone listens to music and, oh yeah, I've got all that kind of stuff. I mean, when I sit down when I was sitting down, I should say, not anymore. When I sit down and watch my choreo, I'd only watch the video once. Yeah. Then I'd listen to the music for the next week. Then I'd go back and I'd actually read it while I'm listening to the music and go, yeah, okay. But I got friends that would never even open the choreo booklet, that would just be watching it on TV the whole time and going, yeah, that's how I learned from it. And I'm like, phew, yeah. But this just shows that everyone learns in different ways. And I think when you're the trainer in that environment, you need to have that skill, as you've got, to tailor it to who's in front of you. And as you said, this is the outcome. How we get there doesn't matter, as long as we get that outcome, as long as at the end of it, you've understood this and you can put it into practice and go for it.
That's it, man. And just try and keep it entertaining at the same time, right?
Oh, I'm sure it would be. I don't think you'd be the type of trainer that would be boring at all. And I'm not saying that because I'm standing in front of you, but personality-wise, I don't think your training at all would be, oh God, is this guy done yet? Can we get on with it?
Back in the day, it definitely was like, is he finished saying the same word 17 times? No.
In different ways. Yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah, you got it. That's how I was.
Yeah. Brilliant. If there's any bit of advice you can give to anyone wanting to try and do what you're doing within training and presenting, what would it be?
I think where we're kind of sitting now with our new audition process and how Les Mills is recruiting for people to do the stuff that I do now, is just obviously make sure that you just embed. Get yourself really embodied. Get myself in a bod. No, immerse yourself into the program that you love. So say if it's body attack, or if it's body jam, or if it's body combat, just be really skillful at that craft before you even think about going to that space, because I know there's a lot of people out there who are wanting to do this, but you just got to be a little bit patient.
Yep.
Like, you're just going to make sure that you're all over your content, you're all over your craft, and that you are training for what you're trying to achieve. So I know that body attack and body pump can get you great results, but if you want to be that role model or that strong advocate for the program, you're going to have to do training outside of that space to make sure that you are able to lift certain weights or move a certain way. So classes will get you there, but you got to do a little bit outside the space. So my bit of advice would definitely be, make sure you are a master of your craft. Don't be the jack of all trades. Just focus on what you love the most, and make sure you're doing the adequate training and rest to make sure you're at your prime condition.
Brilliant, mate. Good words of wisdom. I enjoy hearing that. It's perfect. Outside of I'll start this again. Education outside of the normal initial module training, is there anything that you reckon or you could recommend to instructors, like you just said there about strength training and all that kind of stuff? But is there Would you recommend acting courses? Would you recommend doing voice courses? Would you recommend that kind of stuff for an instructor to upskill themselves and further improve what they're doing?
Yeah, no, I totally agree that there needs to be some type of upskilling that relates to what we do. I believe that for someone who is starting in the business, who's very passionate and all they're doing is les mills or classes and classes, there needs to be a little bit of education around what rest looks like, around nutrition, and around training that's going to keep you doing what we do for a long time, right? And we both know when we're very addicted to something that we love, we all went in hardcore, right?
Yep.
I can't tell you when I was doing triple classes and double this and traveling to here, but being where I am now, looking back, I'm like, mate, why did you do that? Why did you spend so much time doing the same thing over and over again?
Yeah.
So I think there needs to be a bit of education just to help someone understand that what we do isn't all we should be doing, that we should be wrapping in multiple different types of training so that we are at our best in classes.
Yep.
And we also are at our best for the real world.
Yeah.
That's important too.
Yep.
I definitely think around, yes, acting would help, but not everyone sort of lands really well in that space. Not everyone is that person.
Yep.
But I definitely think that some type of tips or tricks around how to emote really well, even just tones or space or speed of delivery, would help someone a lot to convey the emotion they're trying to achieve in class.
Yeah.
And I think the third, definitely a little bit about nutrition as well, just so you can fuel for your classes and make sure you're recovering adequately for your classes.
Yeah.
I think one of the worst things we do is you tend to find sometimes, and no shade in our industry, that there are those fit, unfit people where they just are living on sugar or living on caffeine or living on pasta this, carbohydrate just to fuel themselves for their workouts. But is that longevity?
Yeah, bourbon and jelly beans don't work. They don't work. Bourbon and jelly beans, you can't live off that.
I mean, they do in your 20s, but
yeah.
when you get to your 30s, like this guy here, you're kind of like, let's have some protein and some good food.
Yeah,
like,
how about some vegetables, Tony? Vegetables are good for you. Yeah.
Let's eat the whole pyramid, not just the sugar and caffeine pyramid.
I was introduced to vegetables when I got married, and Rach said to me, "Hey, Tony, you gonna eat some of these?" Sure, Rach. Yeah, sure.
I'm glad she did. She did some good stuff. So.
I jest. I shouldn't say that. I should probably have to delete that from this. Otherwise, yeah, I'll get a backhand.
No, keep it. It's great.
Yeah. Mate, a couple more questions. I suppose the next one I want to ask you is, what does the future hold for Johnny? What are your visions? What are you aiming to try and achieve? It's like that question that they ask you. Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I feel like I'm at school.
Yeah.
Like you're going to choose your subjects for university. So you're grade 10.
Yeah.
You need to decide what you're doing for the rest of your life. I guess what you're asking is, you want to know what's in the fitness industry or external from the industry in terms of what Johnny is holding in the future?
Both, man. What are your plans? How old are you now? Are you happy to divulge that information? How old are you now?
Of course I am, man. I'm 37 this year, so she's getting on.
Yep.
I flicked my weave back there. Fitness-wise, like I still love what I do in terms of teaching. I can agree and put my hand up and say that 2020 definitely taught us a whole bunch of stuff around what serves us and what gives us energy and what doesn't.
Yeah.
So I think if we're looking to the next 5 to 10 years, I definitely think I will still be teaching certain programs. I believe for me in this space now, it's about creating a really great succession plan so that when I leave certain programs or leave this space that I'm currently in right now, there's people that can just step into that space and have just as much success as I've had. But in terms of presenting and training, it's definitely about a succession plan.
Yeah.
When it comes to teaching, I definitely will be teaching Jam. I think I'm like that guy in The Cripple, like, welcome to Bloody Jam. I'm like 80. I don't think for me I just don't think other programs will sit on me when I get to that space. But I think Jam is one that I'll probably hold on to a lot. But
you can borrow my Zimmer frame whenever you need to, mate.
I need to get those like hoverboards to take all the fluid out of my legs when I sit down. But fitness-wise as well, I'll be teaching and creating these great succession plans so that there is development for the people coming through as well. But also, I love what I do external in terms of training around CrossFit as well. So I probably will still be participating in that. And if I'm being really honest, I probably will head down that holistic approach more about that yoga, Pilates space as well, because I think that's going to be really beneficial for my body in where I'm heading in the future. when it comes to real life, I definitely already have stepped into the space of like that social media and marketing space. So I think I'm going to be heading that direction
Cool.
with my partner and stuff, and doing some more things in that realm as well, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Brilliant. Mate, thank you so much for coming on the show and joining me and sharing your story with us. I'm greatly appreciative of your time, but also it's so nice to hear where you started and where you're at and sort of where you're headed. So, mate, thank you. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you for having me. It's been such a treat to talk to you, man.
Welcome.